Hey everybody, Axe Wizard here, working on my game some more. I got a really bad cough, I'm just not able to sleep, so I've been working on it. Let's get into what I've done. So, I reduced the number of ships for testing, because I was testing something. I fixed the bug that I ran into last episode, where they would just stop turning. And then this episode I added independent weapon targeting. So right now I have it turned off. So you can see, like, let me fly away here so this little ship pursues me. And you'll see how bad the targeting is. So you see just how I'm basically I'm only hitting this guy because he's kind of hard to miss. But this little guy, I can't hit that guy at all. So, to fix that, I have an option I can toggle called Predict Target Position. And if we run the game now, and I go fly by... I guess this guy will work. There we go. So now you can see we're pretty much hitting each other, because this just takes effect for everything, not just me. But if I fly around here... There we go. See how I'm always moving, and like I'm just hitting them pretty much perfect, spot on, like every time? I wish I can get like let me change my test code so we can get a little tiny one. So test ships, let's just do tiny ones right now. You know what, let's make this multi-line, that way I can comment stuff out. Alright, so ship 3 is a tiny one. And ships 8 and 9 are also super tiny. So let's just do those. Save. Now we should get super tiny ships. There we go. So now we got little guys who are going to follow me around. So you can see like I'm much more accurate shooting at these guys now than I was. So it's not perfect because I'm doing the prediction at the time of it being fired, and obviously they may move around, but it's working pretty well so far. It's a little bit wide. It's just trying to predict where they are. There we go. Now we're rocking them. So we got one guy down, we got both guy down. There you go. So now if we go back and we turn that option off, and then run it again, and then do the same thing I did before. We fly over here, and you can see how I'm not even close to hitting this guy. So, yeah, look, this is not fun. Like, this is, why would you ever get a ship that has turrets if they can't even hit anything? So, I almost think I shouldn't even make this an option. I should just do it if it's an independent weapon, because I think they're pretty much almost useless if you don't have this turned on. There you go. So now we can hit him again. Look at that, beautiful. We're wrecking this guy. Absolutely destroyed. There you go. So yeah, nothing too fancy there, nothing really big showy, but this is pretty cool stuff, I think. So let's get into what I've done. So let me move this back over. There we go. So I fixed the AI turning bug. So what was happening with that, if we go to my ship and we go to so here's my AI control function here. I added this reset inputs to happen like every time, because what was happening is during the intercept and the attack states, when it was doing, let's see here, so with these it was possible to have this save, for example, be stuck on true, and then the next time this ran, maybe you're within range to attack, and then so you would just go to state attack, but you wouldn't actually get a chance to like reset this. So it was going with like action rotate right true, but maybe I went like around them, and next thing you know, the next time this fires, it would say action rotate left equals true. And I probably could have just, you know, specified to the other one to be false. But to save some effort, I just reset all the inputs every time this runs. So every time my AI control function runs, it goes and it does the AI state. It does the idle state. And then if it then it moves on to do the intercept state and then the attack state. And if the state's not currently set to what it is, so say if it's running AI state intercept here, if the state isn't intercept, it would just return, so nothing would happen. So yeah, just a super quick fix there. Once I figured it out, it was pretty easy. Now let's talk into I added independent weapon targeting, because you may remember before that turrets would take the if you're the player, your turrets would face the mouse. And if you were an AI controlled ship, the turrets would face your current ship target. But I wanted like independent weapons to acquire their own targets, so I made that happen. So if we go to, let's see, that's our fire weapon. Okay. So in our process event here, I added this handle independent weapon section. So we're saying, hey, if weapon type is independent, then handle independent weapon. And we're passing in the delta here. So handle independent weapon first focuses on finding a target if we don't have one. So we're checking if the instance is valid of our target variable. If we don't have a target, then we're doing this find nearest enemy function, which I made, which is down here. And this is just basically, we have a variable called ship owner, which is the ship that we're attached to. And what we're doing is we're getting the enemies array from the ship, and we're just seeing if we actually have enemies to target. If we don't, we just return null. So yeah, and then what we're doing is we're just we're doing a similar thing we did earlier, where we're just finding the closest enemy in that list. So if we go back up to our independent weapons here, if we don't have a valid target, we try to get one, and then we check it again to make sure we have, if we do have a valid target after we've tried to find one, or if we don't have a valid target still after trying to find one, we just return. We do nothing. At this point, we should have a target, so we want to ensure that we're aiming at it. I also have a to-do here to like perhaps implement a turn speed mechanic, because right now, say if you're here and your enemy ship is over here, and you know your turrets snap to point at it and start shooting at it, and then this enemy dies, and you have another enemy over here, then your turret will just like go from here to there like instantly and just start shooting at it. And it's kind of weird, especially because you have to like rotate your ship slowly. So I think it'd be kind of cool to, like, you know, your turret's here, enemies here, have your turret go take them out. So I put a to-do to implement that at some point. I wanted to get the actual targeting and stuff figured out first, so I just put a to-do there for now. So then we're doing this look at here. Now, this is just looking at the target's current position right now. And then if we have our variable set to predict the target position, then what we're doing is we're going to set our rotation to look at the projected, or the projected target position. So let's take a look at this predict target position function here. Here we go. Predict target position. So we're just always being safe to make sure that we don't ever have a case to where, you know, we're trying to reference a instance that doesn't exist. So we're just checking to make sure that, hey, does our target exist? And does our ship owner exist? If neither of those, if either one of those don't exist, we're just returning a 0 value vector 2. That's all we're doing. So then I had a comment here that explains my thought process here. So to predict where they're going to be, we need to sort of guesstimate how long it would take for our projectile to reach them. I say guesstimate because even though we're going to be calculating, you know, their projected position, I'm I'm getting the time off of their initial position. So if they're flying like, you know, kind of at us, the time I'm using, so yeah, so it's a rough estimate is what I'm trying to say. And then we see where the ship would be if it continued along their current velocity for that duration. So first, let's calculate the total time it would take. The rough calculation that I came up with was just the distance divided by time, or distance divided by the speed would equal the time. So I'm getting the distance, and I'm just doing my global position using the distance 2 to my target global position. And then I'm getting the total time for that, which is a float here. So I'm doing distance divided by projectile speed multiplied by delta, because we want to take delta into effect. So this is also another area where this calculation might not be perfect, because the delta might change every frame. And so this is just a rough estimate. So if for some reason we have a frame that takes a long time to run, maybe they had to run some intensive calculation, maybe it's a bit slower, this is going to greatly reduce that. It's going to really skew the calculation. So it's not perfect, but it works it works good enough to where I'm pretty happy with it. So now with this total time is a scalar that I can apply to the vector. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a projected delta. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the target velocity and I'm subtracting it from my ship owner velocity. And the reason why I'm doing this is because when my ship goes to fire the weapons, it also passes in the ship's velocity for like inertia, so that it's that problem I solved earlier, to where like if my ship is moving this way but it's aiming this way and we go to fire, before the projectile would fire here and keep moving, and it would look really weird because the ship would keep moving up, but then my projectile will keep moving out. Now what it does is when it fires it takes in the ship's like trajectory, basically like where the ship is actually headed. And when it fires it, if I'm drifting upwards, then my bullet is also going to drift upwards as it goes out. So we need to factor that into our calculation as well. So what we're doing there is we're just going to subtract our own ship's velocity from it, and that gives us a vector 2 of the difference between, like, you know, where the target's going to be and then where my ship is going to be, and then I'm multiplying that by the total time, and that's going to scale that projected change. And then so what we're doing is we're just applying that projected change, the projected delta. I'm adding that to the target's current position. So we're sort of predicting, you know, where we're going to aim the weapon based off of where they're supposed to be, but then also we're taking into account our ship's inertia as well. And then that's what we're doing. And then we're just returning the projected position. So that's all that is there. This projectile speed, I have a function called get projectile speed here, and I have to instance the projectile so that I can get the magnitude, which is the speed of it. So I run this in my ready event, or my ready function. I just get the projectile speed because I need that for my calculation. So that's what I did there. So it took me a little bit to figure that out. I was dinking around with this for probably a few hours total, just trying to get it to work how I wanted it to. And I also found out that Godot doesn't necessarily respect the order of operations with math. So what I mean by that is, like, in school we learned PEMDAS, which is like parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Well, I actually fought with this for a few hours and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working, because I thought my logic was good. And what ended up happening was this calculation here, this total time calculation, initially I just had this because I thought, you know, order of operations, we're specifying we're doing division here first, but multiplication should technically come first, but that wasn't happening. It was doing the division calculation first, and then it was multiplying delta after, which was not the right calculation. So I had to put parentheses around it to make it respect that. So, and it works. So cool little tidbit there. I don't know if that's just an oversight in like Godot 3 or if that's intended or whatnot, but I know that in Game Maker they respected that order of operations. And yeah, see, I can just hit this guy. Like, I'm moving around, he's staying still, it's working, and then this guy, see the movement, it's like, it's not perfect because the ship can change their movement, so it's not always going to hit because we're only predicting it from the moment that from when the projectile's fired. But it seems to be working okay. I'm pretty happy with it. It's a lot better than without it, that's for sure. There we go. Now we're hitting this guy. Come on. Come on. Get him. Start hitting him before he recharges. There we go. Come on, guys. Yeah, see, it's still... So it's still possible to, like, dodge. Like, and I actually kind of prefer it this way. Like, I don't want it to be impossible to miss. But at the same time, I do want my turrets to be useful. So I think this is a pretty good solution. I'm pretty happy with it. So let's, just for funsies, let's go back here to my, let's see, test ships. Let's crank this back up to 50. And then we'll see how we do. So we got a bunch of little ships, right? These are all going to just chase me down and ignore and annoy me. So let me just start shooting at them. So say, for example, like, this is meant to be like a freighter ship, so it's not really meant for combat, but as you fly around and try and dodge these little guys, you know, your turrets will be putting in some work trying to make sure you get to where you're going. So, as you can see, I'm not doing too bad against, there's like, what, 6 or 7 of them down there? There's 8 of them at least following me. So I destroyed one, but I'm starting to get pretty low in shields. They're starting to just shred me. Ugh. There we go. Come on, get him, get him, get him. Yeah, get wrecked, nerds. Alright, now I'm gonna come for you. Come here. I got my team over there just lighting them up. But see, I also might apply that independent targeting to AI, so that when they rotate their ships to aim, they might aim a little better. Because right now, like, they're not doing that well aiming. So maybe I might apply that same logic to you know, to the ship rotation as well. So, but that's all I got. That's all I was able to accomplish so far. But I thought that was a pretty big enough thing that I would make its own video about it, and I'm pretty happy with how it worked out. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in whatever video I make next. And whatever video I make next, I should feel a lot better. So thank you so much for sticking through this one, and yeah, just thanks for watching.